everyone, and a very warm welcome to another exciting episode of Psychology Talks. This is our sixth session, and I can't believe that I actually conducted five sessions. Last week, we took a break because I had the second shot of vaccine, so I was quite down and I had to take a break. So here I am with the sixth episode, and this topic is really close to my heart because, like, it talks about restructuring mindset. But before I go into like restructuring mindset, I just want to give you this like, what is mindset? Mindset is often referred as a set of beliefs that shape our thinking, attitude, and personality. But sometimes wrong beliefs are stored in our mind, which can restrict our way to success. These wrong beliefs are often used as a defense mechanism, but since it's a defense mechanism and it can be reinforced again and again, and that becomes really strong belief that is hard to change unless we we become aware of it and then try to do it, change it intentionally. So today our guest is the expertise on this topic, and I'm so honored to have him on the show. He began his career from the field of corporate finance and spent almost 14 years. He then entered into the entrepreneurship in 1997. Year after year, he successfully built his business, like around, he built six businesses and sold six businesses. He's currently in the business of coaching and training, helping people to bring out their best in themselves. His main area of expertise is cognitive restructuring or shaping mindset. On LinkedIn, he's continuously adding value through his content, which guide several people every day to find their way. So let's welcome Ash Playsted. Hello, Ash, and thank you so much for joining today. It's really an honor to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Ambreen, and it's a real pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to having a chat. It's also my favourite subject, as it is yours. So looking forward to chatting about it, and hello to everybody tuning in.
Yeah, and thank you so much. So, how was your day? I think it's night over there, so
Well, you can see the dark window in the background
yeah,
here. So yes, it's the evening here in southeast Australia. I live
yeah.
about an hour outside of Melbourne in southeast Australia. I've had a lovely Saturday, although it's very cold here. It's in the middle of winter, so
Oh,
it's
yeah,
very,
yeah.
very cold. But no, and we've got a bit of a lockdown going on with
Oh,
coronavirus. But
yeah,
no one's allowed to leave their house at the moment. But
yeah.
otherwise, it's been a good Saturday. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. It's very warm here because it's like in the middle of summer, and like being in Saudi Arabia, as you can see, like it's really very warm.
I'm in
So,
the office.
anyways, yeah. Let's move on to our topic, and let's see who has joined today. And let's see, a lot of people has joined, and thank you everyone for joining. Abhaya Jayesh say hello. Faizan Shah is also saying he's from Iraq. Arshad is saying good, and Fumza is there. Hello, Fumza. Jawadul Haq is there. Is like we're saying the field of life. Thank you. And Mukhtiar Ali Burfat is saying it's a great topic. Thank you. Nasir Ali is saying great collaboration. Thank you so much. Muhammad Amir is there. Interesting topic. So a lot of people have joined from across the globe, and like they're waiting for us to hear from us. So before we actually move on to the topic, tell us about yourself, Ash. Like, why did you actually choose this field, and what challenges did you face to pursue this field? So give us a
Thank
little
you
bit
for.
about yourself. Yeah.
I'll give you. Well, I've been in the, I guess, the working world for 39 years. So I'll compress a long story down to a short story. And look, to your question of why I chose this field of mindset coaching and psychology and helping people restructure their beliefs, I would say that it actually chose me. I didn't choose it. It really
Yeah.
chose me. I've always enjoyed helping people, even when I was in corporate finance. When I worked for myself, whether I had people working for me or helping clients, I worked in finance. I had multiple finance businesses where we obtained finance for people. So that was always about helping people. And along that journey, Ambreen,
Mhm.
I guess I got to really understand the way people think, the way they tick, the way certain things stress them, the way and why people make their decisions that they do. So it really fascinated me, okay? I was
Mhm.
really, really fascinated by people and what made people tick and why they did the things they did. So I always had a natural leaning towards people.
Mhm.
I think, and over the years, people would always come to me for advice. So I guess I was always naturally coaching people, even when I was younger. And I guess it's in later years, probably the last 5 to 10 years, I decided to sell out of my finance business and I decided to become a full-time coach. It's what I really enjoy. I enjoy
Mhm.
helping people. I enjoy having a positive impact in people's lives. And, we've got this amazing networking platform called LinkedIn
Yeah.
where, we can, I guess, talk about what we believe in. I get to talk about what I believe in,
Yeah.
which is, anything that you want to change in your life, you first have to change what works in your mind first.
Yeah. Very true. I mean, that's really satisfying to see people flourish, and that's why even I chose this field, and I regularly provide counseling to the people, and it's so satisfying to see that people, when you guide them, just a little push actually changes their lives. So it's really fulfilling career. I would say that, of course it depends like on people, that what are their priorities, what are their interests, but that is what, like, I find it very interesting and very fulfilling. So let's move to our topic of the day. Our audience is like really keen to understand that how we can actually change our deep rooted mindset beliefs. So what is your experience, and like what are your suggestions on that, how we
Well, to continue on a little bit from my own experience, Ambreen, I guess, I mean, like everybody else, I've had good and bad experiences in my life. I've made decisions that I've wondered why I made choices and decisions in my life. And I guess over time, I really came to understand that our decisions are a reflection of our beliefs, and our beliefs are a reflection of our limbic learning, what we're born with, and then our experience in life that shapes us. Because that's how our brain works, of course, is our brain shapes itself based on its external environment, especially as children.
yeah.
So I really came to understand that about myself through some ups and downs. I mean, that's often how things happen, don't you think, is it takes difficulties in life to force us to go deep to understand.
Mhm.
So I came to understand a lot more about myself. So as far as, what is mindset? So for me, mindset is almost, it's truthiness. It's what we see as being true. So what is the truth? The truth is the way we see the world based on our internal beliefs. And, these beliefs are both explicit, they're external, they're conscious beliefs that we can rationally think through, but they're also uh, limbic or subconscious
Yeah.
emotional beliefs that
Yeah.
operate outside our awareness. And that's what really interests me is, you know, how do these deep-seated beliefs
Yeah.
impact the way we see the world? That's what I call mindset.
Yeah, yeah, very, very well said. Actually, yes. Basically, we have our own way of seeing the world, like how we define it. It's like, it's you wear the glasses, red glasses, and you see that everything is red, colored red. So you have rightly said that, we judge, we perceive everything based on our experiences, past experience, for example, and these past experiences are built through our culture, through our training, education, and whatnot. Sometimes, like, these thinking guide us to think in a way. It is, of course, there's nothing wrong in that, but sometimes when we face some failure, some embarrassing situation or anything, so we tend to justify our own actions, behavior, and that is the time come when, our thinking start to get deteriorated, and it gets deviated from the right track, and then we try to justify our acts, that okay, maybe this, let's say if we fail, so okay, maybe it could be the reason because of the luck, or I did my best, and so somehow we're trying to get rid of the blame, and we're trying to escape from that anxiety, and then trying to build some sort of thinking which actually work as a defense mechanism or coping mechanism to deal with that anxiety. So yeah, completely agree, these are the sort of the mindset, and that is the thing is, for example, like we have to be conscious about it, that for all the like day to day thinking, is it, are we thinking in the right direction, or is it just the coping strategy for us, like are we keep taking the responsibility of our action, or is it just because that we are using our defense mechanism. So that's perfectly right. Yeah, you defined it very perfectly well. So
Well, there's a
how, yeah, so
yeah, I
yeah.
was just going to add to that, Ambreen, and that's a really beautiful explanation too. Thank you. And
Yeah,
I mean, I sort of sum it up by saying that we don't believe, and then we don't see the external world, then form beliefs. We have beliefs, and then we see the world through
yeah,
those beliefs. So this is the thing: we're not rational beings having emotional experiences. We are emotional beings who
yeah,
rationalize our experiences. This is the thing that we all need to accept, that we are emotional beings. You can't stop being emotional. You can't block your emotions. You've got to learn to understand them and to regulate them,
yeah.
and to then start to work on changing your belief system so you see the world differently.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really love this, that we are emotional being, and that is what I actually tell people also. Like people even come to me and say that they are very angry, and if I tell them, you have to feel those emotions. It's just not that you don't have to dwell in those emotion for longer. You feel it and move on. The more you repress them, the more it becomes scarier, and it will disturb you. So it's very important to actually feel those emotions, and because if we curb our emotion, then what's the point? I mean, we become like a robot. We are different from that. God has given these emotions, so we should feel it. So how to actually like how to get to know that we are going in the wrong direction, like because with it these beliefs are built over time, and as like we've discussed that our past learning, our experiences, our education, our culture, and everything has certain sort of contribution to it in order to build these belief systems. So how do we get to know that there is something wrong going on with us? So how to actually become
Wow.
aware of it?
That is such a great question, and there's a lot to this topic, of course, as you know, Ambreen. And look,
Yeah,
all of us, I absolutely believe that every single one of us, all of your audience that's tuning in, we are a current version of our
yeah,
potentiality. Inside all of us, we have the potential to be whatever we want to be
yeah,
inside of us all. And currently, we are one version of that potential. So the key is to understand that we need to develop the self-awareness and
yeah,
then the self-observation to separate our identity from our thoughts. That's probably where I would start for anybody that's wondering, what's the first step to take? It's really to start to practice some mindfulness, to understand
yeah,
that your thoughts and your identity are not the same phenomena. Most people unfortunately go through their entire lives asleep, believing that their thoughts and their identity are a
yeah,
single phenomena. Whereas what we
absolutely.
know in psychology and brain, the neuroscience now, and mindfulness is that you can separate yourself from your thoughts and stand back from them and
Yeah,
actually start to observe your thoughts. That is the place to start if you want to start changing the way you are and bringing about a different version of yourself, your best version.
yeah.
I mean, we call that self-mastery, of course,
Mhm.
is you first of all have to understand that your thoughts are not your true identity.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think this is very important to separate ourselves from our thoughts, because Once I written an article about it, and then like these thoughts, like this is there is a constant mental chatter going on, like on the we are constantly commenting on things like people around us, and this is if we go with the flow in these thoughts, we lose our identity and we become that thoughts. So once we actually separate ourselves, then we know that where are we going to, because if these thoughts are negative, we'll definitely going in the negative way. So this is very important. I think you're absolutely right. We need to focus on our thoughts, that what exactly going on in our mind, and mindfulness is definitely is the best way to actually give focus or attention to this.
It's a great place to start. And, with the people that I work with, I'm not sure about you, Ambreen, but I use breathing, breath is
Yes,
a
yes,
great place to start to intervene with the emotional storm that can happen. Because, of course, the way that emotional stimuli work, without sounding technical about it, you probably understand where I'm coming from, that
yeah,
emotional stimuli come into our sensory thalamus,
yeah,
and then it decides whether it's going to route those emotions to your amygdala, which your limbic learning, or whether it's going to go to your rational thinking, your cerebral cortex, your sensory
yeah,
cortex. So
yeah,
all I'm saying with that is, once we get to understand how to separate from our thoughts and how emotions actually happen, we can start to develop some awareness of the path forward to do something about it. And this is something that I really am passionate about, Ambreen, is, I mean, this is, people have been speaking about this for hundreds of years, right?
yeah,
Right back to various cultural groups that have spoken about meditation and mindfulness. But
yeah,
I'm really excited about where this is right now, because I think the science is catching up to the
yeah,
mysticism and the mindfulness, that they're coming together. I mean, I'm really excited about that, because we're starting to understand that, the way you think does affect your reality.
yeah,
I posted about this the other day. I'm not too sure whether you saw it, but I posted about, quantum reality, that,
yeah, yeah,
all reality exists purely as potential, and it's the observer of that potential that gives or brings forth the shape of
yeah,
reality. So that, and you need to do more than just positive thinking. I believe, Ambreen, I think positive thinking and affirmations are helpful, but your limbic learnings, your deep-seated beliefs, will not let go that easily. It's actually hard work, or there's actually work to be done to change your beliefs. They're not going to change by saying, I've got a new belief, let's just change. It's not
yeah.
quite that easy, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. This self awareness is important, and I did saw this. I did see this your post quantum this mechanics or something, because I'm very much interested in that. And in fact, I think I've written the article, or actually I'd given this maybe the talk, or maybe in the workshop, I'd say, because I feel that like whatever our thoughts shape reality. And in that workshop, I actually in the talk basically I'm writing this. I'm included in my like book, and this basically our thoughts have this power to change the things physically. It's and now it's been proven through the quantum mechanics and this, because our thoughts are form of energy, and this energy can actually stir the like energy in the universe, and it creates entanglement. And like as the entanglement is actually the connection between two atoms, and then once it's connected, so like that is how the thoughts attract the real physical things in our lives. So it's
Mm.
not something it's a cliche, or it's just the abstract thing that it's an abstract concept that shape thoughts reality, but it actually is. Now science is proving that our thoughts shape our reality of future. So it's and that's again that goes back, if you go back, like our thoughts based on the beliefs and the mindset, and we need to change those mindset to actually attract what we want in our life. So
Well,
yeah, I would say like here we've heard a lot of time about the growth mindset. I mean, so I want to ask, like, why is a growth mindset is such a big deal these days? So,
Well, look, I mean, don't you think growth mindset is one of those terms that gets bandied around a lot, right? And I think in popular language, it's almost lost its its meaning a little bit. To me, growth mindset is actually changing the way your brain works. It's not just, positive affirmations. I mean, I think positive affirmations have a role, but I think if you really want to change that energy flow, you actually, that growth mindset needs to go deeper into, I guess, the aspects of your personality that you want to bring forth under pressure, under stress. Anybody can be a positive person when the going's easy, right?
yeah, yeah,
But it's only when you're challenged. Like, don't you think it's an amazing paradox that the human brain, built to seek out certainty, which to keep you alive, that's been our evolution for millions of years. The brain's evolved to seek out certainty to keep us alive, and that's great. It worked when there were, big beasts trying to hunt us down and eat us. But in the modern world, that need for certainty is actually very contradictory to normal life, which is full of uncertainty.
absolutely.
Full of uncertainty, full of challenge, particularly with the pandemic, what's going on in the world, one of the most upside down, uncertain events in living memory. So, a growth mindset is very important to understand how to adapt yourself and how to bring forward a different part of your nature to contend with those challenges in life. That's what I call a growth mindset. It's actually going a bit deeper. It's going into your nature and bringing forth different parts of your potential
Yeah.
to respond to that uncertainty differently.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the biggest fear one has. I mean, it's certainty. Like, our mind is basically, I think we are built, or God has made us in a way to seek the sort of comfort, or because, like, even if we look at our body, it's basically trying to find the homeostasis, like a comfort zone, I would say, where everything goes in a certain way. So this is, I think, human nature to actually seek the certain part, to have the control over events or something, and that is why I think most of the, I mean, even if we go back and see the history, there are lots of people who are into the predictions and fortune telling, and because actually this is human nature, they want to know what lies ahead. So
Exactly.
this is the great thing. I think this is the human nature, and we want to have a certain part. We know that how we can avoid uncertainty, and this is a major thing. And growth mindset. You explained so well that this has to, like, it counters the uncertainty, and we need
Correct.
to think in a way that we can survive even in the uncertain environment. It's not because this is the deepest fear, I think, that every human has, that if they go in outside of the comfort zone, they will face some uncertain things which they are not aware of, and they will fail again. Fear of failure again comes through this uncertainty factor again. So, like, I think it's all mixed or interlinked together. So
It
I
is. It is,
yeah,
Ambreen, and I think, and you explained that so well, and it's very difficult for most people to navigate their way through that, to know how to deal with it, how to move through it, and how to reshape themselves into a better version of themselves, to not just deal with uncertainty, but actually to welcome change and to
yeah,
welcome uncertainty. And you called it homeostasis. I think that's a brilliant word, because
yeah,
that's what our brain does. I mean, our brain is just a lump of grey mass
yeah,
in a dark vault, right? It just receives data through here, here, here,
yeah,
here, here,
exactly.
and it's just interpreting that data that we bring in. So if you want to change the way you see the world, you probably need to change the way that data gets processed so that you do see the world differently, and you do start to train your brain. That's why I call my mindset reflexology. It's changing the auto response
Yeah,
nature of your brain. Like when you tap your knee and you get a reflexive result. That's how most people respond to fight flight. Right? That's
yeah,
our the
absolutely.
chemical that chemical that floods into your body in about 0.06 of a second before you've got a chance to think about it, because
Yeah,
when all thinking is emotional state dependent. So your thinking is dependent on your emotional state, and your body has this capacity to flood it with chemicals, or your brain floods your body with chemicals
yeah,
like that. By the time your rational thinking kicks in, it's too
yeah,
late.
absolutely.
Your thinking's already been hijacked. So this is really where we need to go for anybody listening. This is really where you need to go to start to understand
Yeah,
how to change the way your brain responds to
absolutely.
stress and threat and uncertainty and fear, and
Yeah,
also not just fear, but also exuberance. There's all
yeah,
of these things. So it's a really fascinating place, and what you said before is so true. The science and the ancient or traditional mindfulness are coming together
yeah,
in a way that's they're starting to align, because science was always separate, right? But now it's coming together. It's
absolutely.
really a wonderful time.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let's see. I think we are almost reaching to the end of our show, and let's ask from the audience that if they have any question. So please feel free to shoot any question and ask any question. And meanwhile, if what is the one advice would you like to give to our audience today?
Um, yeah, it's a very good question, and I've thought about this a bit, and I think I've sort of already answered it in a sense of
Yeah,
practicing separation of thought, or being able to observe your own thinking, is where I would start, because that is the door that opens you to the possibility of change. It's impossible to change your beliefs or your thinking without first separating from your thinking. So this is what a lot of the gurus talk about. A lot of the Buddhism and other religious beliefs. They all are on the same thing.
yeah,
Practice separating from your emotion. And there's lots of great teachers. I teach that. You would teach that. So I would advise anybody listening, if they want to start down this path, which the path to mastery and self mastery, start by speaking to somebody who can show you how to practice self observation,
yeah.
and make it a habit. That's the best place to start.
Yeah, that's a wonderful advice. There's a question here from the audience that how to learn bad things in our mind.
Well, that's a good question, about
Yeah,
how to unlearn bad things. I don't actually believe in the term unlearn. I would reframe that as overwriting it.
yeah,
So you can't actually remove experiences from your life, but what you can do is change the stories you tell yourself
yeah,
around those experiences. Okay, so that's the way to unlearn bad things, is start to change the stories you tell yourself about bad things. Okay,
yeah,
because that's called catastrophizing. You start to think and tell yourself stories, and you've probably been telling. And that question comes from Muhammad. It's a great question. These stories often come from childhood, from experiences that we've told
yeah,
ourselves long enough that we believe them to be true.
yeah.
So the best way to unlearn those things is to start to change those stories. Start
Yeah.
to talk to yourself differently.
Yeah, I think that's really a good way to actually. It's not unlearn. That's very true. We just need to change our way of telling ourselves that how it can be done. For example, when I started like last year, I started my postgraduate studies, and there was a certain way things used to do when I used to study, like doing masters and something. And then there were ways that our teacher wants, so I need to adopt this. It's not something that I needed to unlearn all those practices that I learned. It's something that I need to be able to learn new things. It's, for example, because sometimes the past learning hinders our way to learn new things. Like, for example, if we are used to of getting old things the way we used to do, we need to just be aware of it and then say to ourselves, okay, this is something old, now we need to move on, now we need to learn something new. So I think that's how we need to move on, rather than unlearning is something. It's just some, I would say that it's a way to be aware of things, that something is not going in the right direction. So
Yeah, I agree. And it is in the stories we tell ourselves. And once you separate from your emotion, you can, or your thought, you can start to look at that thought and go, you can start
yeah,
to approach those bad thoughts with curiosity. So
yeah,
rather than fight or flight,
absolutely,
start to approach your thoughts with curiosity. Why am I thinking that? I wonder where that's
exactly,
coming from. That's a
exactly.
great place to start, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah, very true. And even like you can write down. What I used to do when I'm in a great conflict, then I write my thoughts. Basically, I usually what I do is I make like a sort of a column, like two columns, 2 to 3 columns, where I write my thoughts, and then the same thing. For example, I actually write the event, that what causes the conflict. I make it like 2 columns. One is like I write the event itself, then I how my thoughts are coming, or how am I reacting towards it. Thoughts, then emotions. Okay, thoughts are this, like this is going bad, something. And then how am I feeling to it, like emotions. And then it gives a complete picture that okay, that was the event, that was my thinking, and that is my emotions. So it gives a complete picture that where I was going wrong. So
Yeah, that's great advice, Ambreen. And look, if anybody wants to message me or message you, Ambreen, I welcome them, because I have half a dozen different
yeah,
strategies to deal with negative thoughts and
yeah,
to reframe them and to
yeah,
change the way that you perceive them.
yeah,
And I'll probably that I would go into those in more detail, I
yeah,
guess, in the direct communication, because I probably need to know a little bit more specifics. So if
yeah,
anybody wants a little bit more information on that,
yeah,
please feel free
yeah,
to message me. I'd be more than happy to give you some more specific
yeah.
strategies to try.
Yeah, yeah, that would be. I think, of course, like you are the main expert on this topic. So, I think anyone from the audience, please feel free to message him to get more detail on this topic. Or if you're struggling to change your mindset, please feel free to inbox him. And somebody is like, it's SWOT analysis will help. So I guess yes, you should keep doing your SWOT analysis. It gives you insight about yourself, your strength and weakness. So
I one thing that I might add to is a practice I called situational gratitude. I don't know
yeah,
whether you've heard that before, Ambreen, but
yeah,
I practice situational gratitude, and that is, why wait till the end of the day to be grateful? Why only be grateful once in the morning or once at night when you're journaling? I actually look at every single thought, every single event, whether it's somebody cutting me off in traffic, whether it's something that somebody says that might trigger me, you know.
yeah,
I always, I've taught myself to step back and go, what can I learn from this situation? What is the lesson here? It's a
yeah.
great thing to teach yourself on it, no matter what you're thinking or what happens. Just step back and think about, what is it that I can learn from this?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great way actually. Just step back from the situation and see it as a third person, and it gives you great insight about ourselves, about the situation, and even about the people who are involved in that event. So I think that's a great, very insightful talk we had, and it's very insightful discussion we had. I hope that our audience had learned a lot today. And anyone who wants to learn more about it, please feel free to inbox. And his name is there, so you can actually click on it, and it can take you to his page on LinkedIn, and you can inbox it. And thank you so much for enlightening us with such a wonderful discussion and with wonderful insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on, Ambreen, and it's a real pleasure. I've loved it, and I hope we can do it again someday. And I'll
Sure.
have you on my show in the
Okay.
future. I definitely, I'd like to explore this further with you, and I hope everybody that's tuned in has enjoyed it. It's great to see so many people from around the world
Yeah.
coming to have a listen.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and goodbye.